Alright, this is take two. Now, just to kind of clarify on something in my last video, Onision and Repzion Sitting in a Tree, I stated that Mr. Repzion had written a letter, snail mail letter, to uh, Lainey's parents in an effort to convince them to take their daughter away from Onision. Mr. Repzion did not write the letter. As a matter of fact, he pointed to the person that did write the letter. So I just wanted to clarify that and apologize to Mr. Repzion for stating that he wrote the letter to the parents, even though when I said it wasn't necessarily to accuse him, but to kind of like, give him some props for doing a really good job and giving him a whole bunch of man points. So now I'm taking those man points from Mr. Repzion and giving them to this other guy who I don't remember their name, and right now it escapes me, and I'm not going to bother going crazy trying to remember it. Now, let's do this, and let it begin.
Hey guys, it's time for shit to get a bit real, so let's all just sit down and talk.
Yes, Greg, let's have a nice, happy little chat and, smooth over some very difficult issues.
Over the last almost year now, I've actually been keeping my private life pretty private. Ever since I found out that the girl I thought I was dating cheated on me and got pregnant with someone else's baby, and on top of that stole over $2,000
Hang
from me, I decided that maybe it was best I didn't share my private life with the public any longer. Well then,
Greg, you've been doing nothing but talking about how Shiloh cheated you and had another person's baby, and well, how she robbed you blind. To which I have to tell Shiloh, masterfully played. Masterfully played. After all of the garbage that Greg put you through, masterfully played. Moving right along.
there was that suicidal phase that came later on, but that's not what we're talking about. I decided not to share so much of my personal life because I felt like it was just destructive. Sear is a very smart man.
You decided not to share your private life any longer because people were beginning to see just how horrible a person you were, Greg. That's the real truth. That people were beginning to notice, hey, Greg is a dick. But moving right along.
Comes to his private life. He made a video some time ago saying that he doesn't share his private life with people because he doesn't want people bringing up his ex-girlfriends or whatever years down the line. He, for some crazy reason, believes that relationships are between the two people that are in them, and that's it. Well, unless, of course, there's some kind of domestic abuse going on, in which case...
Greg, you actually gave Sear hell for that, especially when he hinted about the whole mess between you and Shiloh and how you basically broadcast your private life all over the interwebs and talked about how and basically proved to everybody just what kind of an abusive, obnoxious jerk you were to her. Now, mind you, Shiloh is no saint either, but at the same time, when Sear said that, you were actually quite upset at him about it. But moving right along.
the police would be involved too. Regardless, one of the rumors going around is that I'm just an absolutely horrible being for putting my ex-girlfriend on camera a long time ago when she had just threatened to kill herself and make it look like I did it. I know I live a crazy life. Anyway, at the time,
Greg, it wasn't just that one time where people thought you were an absolute dick to Shiloh. There was the whole Shiloh doesn't remember me phase where instead of actually taking her to a doctor to get her checked out, you decided to video her actually going through her seizure. And, the memory loss that followed, now granted, that may or may not have been true, but any sane, rational person that's in love with somebody, if they saw their loved one, having a seizure, the first thing they do, call 911, and they'd ask for a fucking ambulance to get here immediately. They wouldn't then turn on the video camera and post it up on YouTube. Or let's talk about the fact that when Shiloh was in the shower and you videoed her and you posted it up on the internet, letting the whole world see the goodies that you get to sample. Do you remember that, Greg? Do you remember doing that? Yeah, that was actually kind of the dick thing to do. That's just moving right along.
I released the video in question, which I should not have done. It was very immature of me. It was very irresponsible of me. The only reason I did it was to prove how crazy she was, which a lot of people didn't actually believe she was crazy, because maybe they didn't.
Greg, honey, we knew Shiloh was crazy. Okay? She had the crazy girl stare. But what we also knew was that you didn't help the situation. Instead, you exploited her for everything she was worth. Again, this is one of the reasons why we're angry with you and how you treated Shiloh. You were actually quite horrible to her. You exploited her. You posted her you posted videos of her during some of the worst times of her life. And you know what, Greg? You essentially were a great big bag of dicks. Moving right along.
And understand the context of the video. I just saw the lies that she was fabricating in this blog about me, and I'm like, you know what? The world needs to know the truth about this lady. But seconds after I uploaded it, I had second thoughts. I removed the video, and of course somebody downloaded it.
Greg, it wasn't seconds. If I was going to be generous, I'd say minutes. If I was going to be a dick, I'd say hours. It's more factually accurate if I was being a dick. And so, yeah, people had time to download that and post it up all over the internet. Next.
Uploaded it, etc. So people say I'm an abusive asshole for that video, but the reality is, again, the woman literally threatened to kill herself and make...
Greg, you were an abusive asshole. You treated her like garbage and essentially made her do things that, well, basically killed any chance she would have of a normal singing career, or at least halt it for a significant amount of time. Moving right along.
It looked like I did it, which is why I called the cops on her so she'd have a less likely chance of successfully killing herself, and it's also why I had a camera on her, so if she did kill herself, it wouldn't at all look like I did it, considering I'm a...
Greg, any person that's in love that, is involved with somebody romantically that has a semblance of human empathy and compassion, the first thing that they would do if their loved one said that they were going to kill themselves is wrap their arms around her and make sure that that person did not hurt themselves. Once that person was detained enough that they wouldn't harm themselves, they would then call the police or a mental health professional to basically talk that person down and help them go through their issues. They wouldn't turn around, put a video camera on them, and then post it up on the internet for the whole world to see just how crazy she was. Apparently, Greg, you weren't in love with her, because the second that her mind snapped and she decided to go on one of her rampages, you posted it on YouTube and you didn't get her the help that she needed. The woman needed psychiatric help. She did not need you posting her meltdown on YouTube.
Across the room, staying as far away from her as possible, saying, this is where I am when this happened, if this is going to happen, because again, I lived a crazy life at the time. So
again, Greg, it wasn't so much that you lived a crazy life, you were being a dick. It wasn't a crazy life. You weren't just living a crazy life, you were being a dick to Shiloh. Moving right along.
You hate me for flipping on a camera when someone who said that they genuinely loved me and no one will ever love me as much as they love me said that they were going to kill themselves and make it look like I did it, then hate me. Whatever. You hate me for at least a valid reason, not for some kind of fabricated bullshit.
Greg, you're assuming people hate you because of one incident. No. A lot of people are angry with you, and a lot of people are concerned because it was more than one incident. It was several incidents, especially regarding Shiloh. Again, your relationship with her, incredibly toxic. She wasn't innocent, but at the same time, you were not the saint you keep painting yourself to be, Greg. Moving right along.
Now moving on to another rumor. Somebody said that I beat my... Really? I'm gonna beat you! Anyway, so I was married for 5 years in my last marriage, and I asked for a divorce because I was getting really depressed, I was unmotivated, I was uninspired, and I just generally didn't like my life with that person. Our marriage primarily consisted of us just being friends, playing video games together, and making videos together, etc. It wasn't really romantic, it wasn't passionate or anything, it was really just kind of people hanging out. So anyways,
Greg, as a man who's been married for a very long time, let me clue you in on something. While marriage does have a lot of passion with it, and there is romantic and sexual elements in marriage, do you want to know what 65% of marriage is? It's companionship. You know, the fact that you had somebody there to play video games with, oh my God, the horror. I bet she kicked your ass in each and every single time, too. You know, it's going to the movies. It's going out to dinner. It's, going shopping. It's fixing the house. Marriage, most of the time, is basically companionship, doing stuff together. That's not necessarily sexual. Yes, the sex is important. Yes, the romance is important. But, well, that's only a small part of marriage. The rest is a lot of hard work, a lot of companionship, and a lot of talking. And apparently, Greg, that wasn't enough for you, was it? And the reason you divorced Sky wasn't necessarily because you were miserable. It was because you were cultivating a relationship with Shiloh. Remember, Greg? Remember the Skype conversations you would have with Shiloh behind Sky's back? Remember those? They were posted up on the internet too, and a lot of us saw them. So, yeah, we heard you tell Shiloh that you loved her while you were still married to Sky. Moving right along.
To address a rumor that I heard, people are saying that I beat her during that relationship, and that's incredibly untrue. I've never beat anyone. In fact, the closest I've ever come to ever hitting a woman is when my mom took a flashlight, those flashlights with the really huge batteries in them. My mom took a huge...
I will say this. I personally do not believe that Greg ever hit a woman, because a woman would beat the living snot out of him. But that's just my opinion. Let's move a little forward in the video. Let's see what else Greg has to say.
And two, I would like to be reasonable when I ask people to stay out of my personal life, considering it is in fact nobody's business due to the fact that I don't make it anyone's business anymore. Other than, of course, what I've already said, which is I am not married to a 17-year-old. As for the people talking about me...
Greg, number one, it is public knowledge that you did marry a 17 going on 18-year-old. It's also in the marriage license. Yeah, I know it's hard to kind of and you want people to stay out of your private life. Well, guess what? Stop broadcasting it on the internet. Stop talking about Shiloh. Stop talking about Sky. Stop talking about your private life. If you don't want people to look into your business, don't post it where everybody can see it. And and not only that, Greg, given your track record with women, given the fact that you are an abusive, horrible individual, I think it's a public service when somebody sees you with a woman getting romantically involved that we warn that woman how much of a bad risk you really are. I don't know, maybe it's called, being a good citizen, being a good human being, that, we see how you treated Shiloh, we see how you treated Sky, we see how you treated all the other girls, and you know what? Maybe it's high time that that young lady got away from you. Anyway, I've rambled on long enough. This is Dumark the Artist signing off. /Vulture. Have a nice day.